Good evening. Calling to order the February 11th, 2019 Legislative Affairs Subcommittee. We'll all rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Roll call of the members of the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee. Councilor Novoselsky, absent. Councilor Powers, absent. Councilor Rizzo?
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambuto?
Here.
Here. And Chairman Keefe?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present.
Also in attendance is Councilor Guanasso, Councilor McKenna, and Councilor Patch. Thank you for joining us tonight. We also have in the audience Police Chief Guido and Superintendent Argenzio, and also Jim Rose from the Parking Department, Parking Director. So tonight, or today, we're going to discuss the proposed ordinance change for the for the resident permit parking program citywide. This was drafted by Councilor Janino and Councilor McKenna with the assistance of Madam Clerk Melnick. And there's also been a few requests and or some conversations on some possible adjustments that would like to be made. So at this time, I'd like to open it up to the councilors that are in attendance, council members of this legislative affairs first, and ask if there's any questions or concerns or something that would looking to be added.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. President.
Mr. Chairman, I selected this particular item as the single largest item that faces the community this year. And as President, I looking forward to this being enacted based on the greater majority of the people out there are looking for some sort of relief in parking. This is a way to start it. Well, it's not a cure-all for everybody, but I think that what we have is we're at least going to the board with a plan. A couple of years ago, we allowed it to go astray, and only 3 or 4 people were interested, and we were trying to critique it to their needs. What we need to do, Mr. Chairman, is, and you know, through the hard work of many people who have put an effort into this, is to get a plan on board as soon as possible, and then we critique it as we go along and make it work for our community. But again, this is the major issue facing our community, and we have to address it sooner than later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council President Guanasso. I totally agree with you, and this is probably one of the most important tasks that we'll have this year. But again, I'll open it up to the rest of the council, and then I'll save some of my thoughts. Councilor Rizzo.
Right now, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any specific recommendations. There's just so much to take in, and it is a major change in the way that people across the city, if this is in fact going to be put out citywide, it's going to be a major change for how people park their own vehicles, and obviously if people come over and visit them throughout the course of time. I do want to thank Councilor McKenna and Councilor Janino for their hard work, along with the City Clerk, Ashley Melnick. You know, there clearly is a parking problem in the city, and I concur with the President, Councilor Guanasso, that it is a big problem and has been a big problem in this city for an awful long time. But I would just like to ask that the City Council, along with the Traffic Commission, who I believe at the end of the day is the one that will have to impose this on our residents, I hope that, you know, they don't just expedite it for the sake of putting something on the books, because as the saying always goes, the devil is in the details. And Revere is not like every other city that has citywide sticker parking. There are parts of this community that I've talked to who really don't want to see, you know, sticker parking. They don't want to have to worry about visitors coming over and having enough placards for them or not having enough placards for them. You know, I just know myself, Yesterday, I had visitors over, just family, my parents and my kids. I had 4 vehicles that were there. Now, fortunately, I have a driveway, and they were all able to park. I think they were all able to park there except for 1 vehicle. But, you know, there are parts of the city that will not necessarily, you know, want or need this. So I'm just hopeful that they take that into consideration. You know, there are a large, you know, certainly Council Guanasso's area, Council McKenna's area. I know Councilor Janino and, you know, her street, and, you know, there's certain streets absolutely that you know, could use this, and there are many benefits that come from it. But I'm just hopeful that the Traffic Commission, as they're deliberating and going through this, they do it in a way that, you know, makes sense for the majority of the people, and certainly in the areas who need it. That's all I have right now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Rizzo. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my colleague completely. However, you know, I think that this has to be a long and deliberate process, and that we don't want to do anything just to do something. We want to make sure we get this right. So it's going to take a lot of thought and a lot of effort, not to just say, oh, we need complete resident parking, and then realize we've made a mistake in some areas. So let's be deliberative about this, and let's do it right and get it done this year, but not in haste. I don't want to do anything in haste. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor McKenna and myself, along with the clerk and several other members of the community, worked very hard on this ordinance. And even though it's just coming before the council, there's months of work and research that went behind this. It was very well thought out, and we're definitely open to seeing the Traffic Commission review it and make any changes there may be. However, as it's presented, I think it works. I think it's going to work good for the community, and we tried to keep in mind, you know, the neighborhoods that really aren't crying out for it, that don't need it, to make sure that they're accommodated, as well as the neighborhoods that have a desperate need for it. And I think the way that it was written was very inclusive. Another huge feature about the way it was written is that it's easier to enforce. So something that we need to keep in mind when we're putting these citywide ordinances out is, how are we going to enforce it? And we need to make sure that it's written in a manner that we give our inspectors and police officers and the parking department a way that they can enforce it that makes sense, and a way that they can enforce it that is easy for the citizens to interpret. If you make too many exceptions and, well, this neighborhood's like this and this area is like this, it becomes almost impossible for residents to understand, people visiting to understand, and for law enforcement to enforce. So by giving it some structure and organizing it the way that we did, it is friendly both for the resident and for the city that'll be enforcing it. So I look forward to it going to the Traffic Commission. I want to thank my colleague, Councilor McKenna. It was a great effort, and all of our help from the clerk, as well as input from the Traffic Commission. So I look forward to seeing it move forward, and I hope that it can be a step to alleviate the parking issue in Revere. It's not a solution, but it's a step. And I think if we keep working in the right direction, we'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. We're going to save questions for the...
I just want to ask a quick question.
we're just,
I want to know what the program is. Are you going to tell me how it's going to work?
right, correct. We're going to go, well, we can give you a copy of this after it's discussed in Traffic Commission, or some of this might be public.
What I hear is I can only park on my street, but that's
So don't listen to rumors.
possible.
Correct. So we're going to discuss some of those, and I'd love to invite you up once we finish this. And you can certainly bring up some of your concerns, but there's definitely rumors. There's always going to be rumors, and that's why we want to help clear some of the air on some of that tonight. And just even some of the councils, there's going to be some. Just listen to it all, and then you can ask the questions, and we'll give you the best answers we can. And the Traffic Commission is going to help assist in those as well. But this is not going to be rolled out overnight. This is something that's going to take some time and discussion. So, Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To your answer, sir, this is not set in stone, and there's room for improvement. There's room for, if things aren't working, we can certainly go back and tweak it. It's not set in stone, but it will help the city, because What we're experiencing right now is two major issues. Traffic, well, there's a couple, but the most important are traffic and parking. And the reason why parking is so terrible in this city is because we have a lot of people that are renting rooms out. And they're renting rooms out to not people that are registered their cars in Revere. So hold on. You can have your chance to talk later, okay? I just want you to know that I have 25 people living next door to me. They're renting 8 rooms out, $650, $700 a room, okay? We have 10 or 11 cars. I have permit parking in front of my car. Only 2 have registered their car. The other ones are parking where there's no permit parking. So what they're doing is they're taking up people's spaces on Crescent Ave, on Webster Ave, on Summer Street, because there's no permit parking there. And it's not right, because if you live in front of a house, which I have a house, okay, and it's on a hill, and I don't have a driveway, so I need that parking space when I carry my bundles up 45 stairs. I need that parking space. So it's gonna eliminate a lot of these people that won't register their car in Revere because the interest rates are so high, the insurance is so high. So you're gonna eliminate people that are coming from Winthrop, because now Winthrop has permit parking. They're parking in Beachmont. You have people parking from Everett, they're coming to Revere. All these places have permit parking, all these cities have permit parking. We're probably the only city around here that doesn't. And so now they're all taking advantage of us. Before it was the commercial vehicles. We got the commercial vehicles off the road. They were parking from Everett, Chelsea, Winthrop. Now we have an ordinance. We have to do something. We really do. We have to do something. But it's not set in stone. We can tweak it. We can fix it. If it's not working, we'll come back to the table and make it work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I have several questions and adjustments that I like to see in this. First of all, it was brought up even at the last traffic commission about this from the chief, about parking on one street only. Now, right now, under our permit parking for in the commuter area, as we'll call it, because there's actually got 2 phases here. You have overnight parking, which I believe that's what we're shooting at right now, from 12 to 5 a.m. Now, the commuter parking is daytime issues. What we're talking now is trying to get the people for overnight parking, if I'm correct, because originally when I heard it, people were talking, well, gee, I don't want people from Ward 6 coming down and parking in Ward 2 during the day and be able to go into Boston and go to work and then save their $7 that it costs in the MBTA now. But, this one targets mostly overnight parking and the use of permits and visitor passes. And right now on the books, someone with a permit and questionable on a visitor permit, that they can park on a adjacent street, an immediate adjacent street that has permit parking. And I'll just use an example, Nahant Avenue and Campbell Avenue. Now, you only have 40 spaces on Nahant Ave. You have 60 cars. Where are these other people going to park that live there legitimately? Now, one street over, and they could even park on Dohon Street, which is my street, as an adjacent street off Nahant Ave, because it's an adjacent street, immediate adjacent street. Some people can park on Beach Street. Some people on Beach Street can park on Nahant Ave. So they have that option of where, because not everybody is going to be parking there every single night or every single day. There's always going to be a space. My street at one time was wide open during the day. Now it's not anymore because you have a lot more cars. So I would ask that in this also, that the immediate adjacent street be added somewhere in this package. Okay, and I think it's reasonable and it'll be fair to those who run out of space. just a typo, and I saw in 1034.03, there was just a typo in triple I, the current real estate bill. It should be bill, not ball, okay? I recommend that for night, for this night thing, that we only give out one visitor permit instead of two. There's too many being passed around. If each car is allowed one visitor permit, which I know under this plan it isn't, because it's only one per household. So the only one that can get is the head of the household. So if you have 3 cars in a house, you can get one visitor permit, which I think that's fair. I think the visitor permits were getting out of control. Not only were they giving them to people going into Boston, trying to use them during the day and going into Boston, but they were giving to people that were going to Florida for 3-4 days. And I think this will cut back on that stuff, even especially overnight, because there is on E, 1034.0E, it says a vehicle with a placard cannot park without moving for more than 24 hours. So they can't park there for more than one day. So also under G, there was a suggestion about can't be used for more than 3 consecutive days, or in repeated non-consecutive use, not more than 7 days per month. Now it's 10 days under the daytime commuter parking. So that's reducing that, and it's freeing up more space from these people coming in 10 days a month on a sticker. On number, I think we were talking about giving free resident stickers, just charging $10 for the visitor pass. And this says 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. I would go to 12 midnight and move it to 5. So, okay, well, I'm just going by these notes.
There's been a few, it is 12 a.m.
Okay, so just looking at that last page in the 1X, I don't know if it's supposed to be 1X resident parking 24 hours and 1X resident parking streets overnight enforcement, if that's supposed to be a different category or not. So that's something we have to may have to renumber, so.
The streets for those categories haven't been chosen yet.
Okay.
Needed input from the city council.
Okay, so those are my suggestions, my thoughts, and we definitely need something. We have to protect our neighborhoods, so.
Thank you,
That's what I have, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My ward, Ward 6, probably don't need this as much as the other wards. But I got an email here from a resident who's probably going to speak here tonight, and she makes a lot of good points. But my thing is, I don't think the streets that don't have a problem day or night, but there are that occasional house, like Councilor McKenna said, like I have one on my street that has like 10 cars, the same house as mine, so I don't know how, So that would stop, and I know I get complaints from residents that they have that problem, and they go to the 311, and I've put it in 311, and I get response back that they went to the door but couldn't get in, and that's the end of it. So I wish that we could work on that a little bit more. But to get back to this, so that, like I say, I'm more for the, maybe if we have the night, not during the day, like we really don't need, and the nights we can stop that problem. I mean, I got a few other things, but I don't want to take her thunder away, so she's got, if she would, I'd like to give me the right to give it to you, the email, please. Can I give them the, you don't have to read it, no, she's going to come up.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Okay. And just to clarify, and I'll at this point, I'll open it up to some of the members in the audience. But just to clarify, a majority, and an overwhelming majority of this would only be enforced overnight, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. So it would not impact your house guest, unless they were staying overnight, of course. So that's one of the rumors that we have to disperse, is this is overnight. So if you're looking at going down the street and coming to your friend's house during the day, it's not gonna be an issue, parking on those streets. But it's gonna be, a majority of this is gonna be overnight. And then, the other streets that already have some of the commercial or some of the commuter areas that already have parking enforcement in play, that would not be altered due to this. So just want to make sure that everyone understands, this is a majority of overnight parking permits.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just add to what you just said, because it was one of my points that I was making. Yeah, I think a lot of it, is because these streets aren't listed where this enforcement's going to be. So where is the overnight, and where is it going to be 24-hour, So, I think once that's all laid out, I could feel a lot better about it, knowing that it's only between midnight and 5 a.m. I'm okay with that. But, I think that's going to have to all be ironed out with the Traffic Commission.
Correct, and I think that the good thing is most of the ward councils as well as the at-large councils are going to be able to work with the Traffic Commission and identify where the needs would be best served. So at this point, it looks like we have Chief Guido wanted to come up and speak.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I have a few things. The first thing is, I agree with Councilors Rizzo and Zambudo. Whatever we do has to be enforceable. So for it to be enforceable, we're going to need signage, and that's a huge expense. So I just want the council to be aware that if we roll this out, we're going to have to put signs on every single street in the community where we put the parking. I agree with the overnight parking. Almost every city around us is doing it, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. And I don't think that's a problem, but there will have to be signage. I don't agree with 24-hour parking except in the commuter areas. And even those areas, I think visitors should just be allowed to park maybe up to an hour or 2 hours without any placard. When the meter maids go by, they can note the time down. I don't think there's going to be that many visitors. But if someone wants to go visit their mother or their father for lunch, they shouldn't have to have a visitor pass. So maybe that would be a sensible way to handle the visitors in the daytime. The overnight parking, you absolutely need the visitor passes, because that's the only way we're going to weed out the rooming houses and the illegal apartments and the cars that are parking here from other cities overnight. I agree with Council Novoselsky. We're going to need adjacent streets modified, because a lot of streets won't have enough parking once we go into resident parking to fit all the cars. I don't think there should be a fee for the stickers, only for maybe the visitor stickers. And I think if we go past the midnight to 5 a.m., we should roll it out maybe ward by ward and do the wards with the most problem to the wards with the least problem. And another issue we're going to have to decide is how many cars should be allowed per dwelling. Because if people want to change their registration, and like Council McKenna said, they're renting out rooms, then they can easily just change their address at the registry, and the next thing you'll have 12 cars registered to a residence. So we might have to discuss maybe with the building department what's a reasonable amount of cars per dwelling. And then you wouldn't be able to get more than that number of stickers for your cars. So that's basically all I have to say, but I think the signage is going to be a huge factor in this and a huge cost. And I don't see, we're not like Winthrop, there's one way in, 2 ways in and 2 ways out. There's too many ways in and out of the city. So to enforce something, people need to be aware of it. And without signage, I don't see us being able to enforce it. So I just wanted to let the council consider those points.
Thank you, Chief.
And the Traffic Commission will also.
Yep, all very good points.
Thank you.
Anyone else looking to speak?
John Benetti, 34 Dana Street. I agree with the chief, basically what he said. I'm going to give you some statistics here. I live on Dana Street. I have 17 homes on Dana Street. It consists of 1s, 2s, 3s, 6s, 1 6. There's 24 parking spaces on that street. There is 9 driveways. Remember now, there's 9 driveways, but the minute you make the curve cut, you have to put 2 in there because you already lost 1 spot when you make the curve cut, because that car could have parked there anyways. So a driveway doesn't necessarily gain you anything if you don't make it 2. Now, when I come home sometimes, early in the morning, like 7 o'clock from the gym, there is no place to park on Dana Street. You gotta park on Garfield Ave. That's why you gotta have someplace else to park other than your main street. But what I'm gonna say here is, up to about a year ago, there was always someplace to park on Dana Street. And on part of Garfield Ave, because there's no homes in one area there, because it's a big corner there, nobody used to be parked there most of the time, okay? Now that we have rooming houses, which we do, but these people are smart in my area, because I checked this morning. Everybody there had a sticker for Dana Street, and they were on Garfield Ave, some of them, because there's no place to park on Dana Street, okay? And there was some overnight people, because it was the weekend, so they come and visit. And some of those were commercial vehicles, all right? Now, to go a little bit further, we need to change our ordinances. When you're building a 2-family, if you can't put 4 parking places, then you shouldn't build a 2-family.
I totally agree with you there, and those are some really good points, but I just want to stick to this part. We only have a 30-minute meeting.
Okay.
So we don't want to get into the.
I'm gonna go fast on here, but you're building some buildings in the area, like on the Home Street. No parking, that's not gonna work, that just puts more on Dana Street.
I would agree with you, but this isn't about the resident permit parking program. This isn't about construction, this is about the permit parking program.
Well-
And if anything, you should agree that this would help. This would help.
Well, in my area, it's only gonna help if you get rid of the rooming houses. I have no problem.
I agree
don't have-
with you. This will help. This will help.
I don't have problem with the permit parking, as long as you leave it the way it is now. 7 to 12 in my area, it works, it stops
If your
the
area-
ETA people.
Agreed.
But those people that did come to that area were all Revere people from down the further end of Garfield Ave. All right? So, but I'm saying is, it all ties in to parking. If you're building buildings without parking, you got a problem.
I agree with you. Great. And I
That's the
totally agree, and I think this is gonna help that situation. Thank you.
But we do need, I need to build a park maybe in 3 different streets, like they do in Cambridge. You
Well,
have
the
A,
open-
B, C,
right.
D, and it's a given amount of streets that you can park on other than your own street. And I just showed you, there's not enough parking on Dana Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have about 5 minutes left. Well, actually, we're gonna go over, but we're gonna go over for about 5 minutes. So if you can come on up, all I'd ask is if everyone, we're gonna give 2 minutes, and if we can just keep it under 2 minutes, it'd be great to give everyone a chance to talk.
I would just appreciate the same amount of time that everyone else has had. Just because I'm the last one maybe speaking, I don't want to be cut too short, okay?
There's just
I
a
would
few more.
appreciate it. Thank
Yep.
you. My name is Mary Gandolfo, and I live in Revere. Can you hear me? Oh, I live in Revere. I'm a resident and a homeowner. And I want to say that this ordinance here, which I got a copy from the clerk's office directly, so it should have everything in it that's up to date so far. So what I want to say is there are some things in it that are very wrong for residents, that don't exactly work, and I'll explain that. The sticker listing your street name, and it says the ordinance is being made to maximize parking for residents, okay? But the name of your street being on the sticker and only allowing you to park on that particular street, that really doesn't maximize parking for a lot of people. I live on a big main street, and you cannot park on that big main street. So my other car goes next to the next street over, which is fine, and my neighbors love me, no problem. Never been a problem all these years. So I do need that other parking spot, though. And if you say I can only park on my street, obviously that's a problem for me and for other people who live on a big main street. Having the sticker valid for 1 year, I just would ask that if this is necessary in some areas of the city, it may not be, but please don't expire things on December 31st during the holidays when people are rushing, families are stressed enough, and everything is going on. Wait till January, after New Year's at least, or February, whatever. That would be really helpful for families. Also, yeah, I do want them to allow you to park on the street nearby, next to you, you know, the nearest street over or whatever. Same place I've been parking for years, I want to just stay there. So the other thing is having your street name on your sticker. I feel that that's a little too much oversharing of information, especially for a woman. I don't really want to have my street name on my sticker. If I go to the mall or I go somewhere, I might be in another city somewhere. I may not want the people who are pulling up next to me or walking by my car to say, oh, she's from Revere. Oh, this is the street she lives on. Nice car, or whatever it is. And I think it's not safe for women especially. That's my feeling on that, putting the street name where you live on your outside on your car. I don't think that's good. So I'm wondering how it will work for a contractor if, of course, I've heard through today's discussion a little more, that, you know, if you have a contractor coming to your home to give you an estimate, I don't have to go crazy running to City Hall for this person to come look at something in my house.
Correct, this is going to be for overnight.
I'm assuming the daytime is
Correct.
okay. Okay, well, that's good, because that's not written in here, but that is how it should work. It really makes sense that people can park during the day. The city has got to be flexible and work with citizens on this, and I know people are saying it's, you know, I've heard you folks talking, and, you know, a lot of people are with it and saying it's a wonderful, but I have to say there are some things that are not working for people like me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to be here tonight, but they're all working. They're coming home to make supper for the kids, or picking up the kids at daycare and whatnot. So that's part of the problem. People just don't have time to show up here. I'm worried, well, part of my concern also was with snowstorms, summertime. Naturally, people are going to have a barbecue or company over. You know, what happens if you're having 12, 15 friends, or your family's coming for a little tradition?
Ms. Gandolfo, so we have your letter, and I think you're repeating a lot of the similar concerns that some of the people have already brought up. Most of this, like mentioned, is going to be overnight, and I believe, I think your ward council would recommend overnight only in the area you are. So this wouldn't be relative to a summer barbecue, and it would, a lot of the issues you have would be solved very simply. So what I want to do is, we are going to be sending this to the Traffic Commission, and all these concerns are going to continue to be brought up. So we're hearing your concerns, and we're going to continue to address them. So appreciate.
I just have two more words, I think.
Go ahead, two more.
Thank you. Anyhow, I feel like this has been paced to be on a fast track, and people want to get it through, but please don't push it through, and don't disrupt people's lives. Think about, I want it to be done in a caring manner, caring about residents. And Ms. McKenna, you spoke about a problem near your home. And to me, that problem, I thought, should be looked at by inspectional services with all these cars that you're having a problem with. And it's a parking problem because of all this house problem that you're having. So to me, they should be checking that out, should be referred to them. And I think if that happened more, the inspectional services were notified, all this parking wouldn't be a problem so much. It's taken care of right away on that end. But living on a main street, you know, it's a problem. I can't park there. People do pull up on the front and the side, but I don't want my car sideswiped, and I need that spot I have on the side street. So
Thank you.
Don't
Thank you, Ms.
forget me.
Gandolfo. Thank you.
Thank you.
And anyone else? Come on up. Anyone else? And Jim Rose? Great.
I have less than 30 seconds to speak, I promise you. My name is Stephen Betterman. I live on 7 Pierview Avenue for about a dozen years, and in Revere for 35 years. I run business in Revere as well. What the ordinance that is currently proposed is that I will be issued with the appropriate paperwork for my personal residence, a parking sticker, a resident parking sticker. If the adjacent street is available, because as most of you may know, that Pierview Avenue is so narrow that there is no way for me to park on Pierview Avenue. And for a decade, I've been parking on Broad Sound Avenue with that permit.
So thank you for coming up, Mr. Betterman. I've been assured that your street would be listed as Broad Sound because of its proximity to that area and it not necessarily being a true street, so you'd be getting a Broad Sound sticker. Thank you. Mr. Rose?
Jim Rose, Parking Director, City of Revere. I just want to, I was listening to a lot of people discuss this tonight, and when I came on 9 months ago, I was probably a believer of not having permit parking in the City of Revere. After 9 months of being in the parking department, I realized we need to have permit parking, and I really believe the way to roll this plan out is what we're discussing tonight, from midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning. But I actually would like to, if we could amend that, to have it maybe go from midnight to 6 a.m. in the morning. And the reason for that, that extra hour when we're getting early commuters coming into the city, they park there, so to allow it to go to that extra hour, I think would be a big help in moving this forward. But it's something it's needed, and it's actually needed also. Councils in Ward 6, the area that I live in, and some of the councilors here, but I'm seeing more and more 8 ranch homes, 8 and 9 cars parked. Okay, that's not all family members, they're renting rooms, and the only way we're gonna end this is to be able to basically have them register their cars in the city, and amongst other ways of dealing with it, I think we can move it in the right direction because it's becoming a problem in all neighborhoods now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. So we're to wrap this up, and this is gonna, oh, I apologize. Oh, thank you, I didn't see him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lou Markakis, Century 21 Northeast here in Revere. I just wanted to sort of echo with respect to the adjacent parking issue. It's funny because one of the first questions I get with new people coming into the city, you know, what's the parking situation? What's the parking situation with respect to snow and what happens? And some of the people that I've gotten calls from are the people that live on some of these paper streets or dead ends, and their major concern is the adjacent parking. So we would hope that you would not forget about them. I appreciate and respect Councilor Gennaso's initiative to move this forward. So if we can standardize it like we did in the city of Lynn, we had amendments, but I also understand Councilor Zambudo and Councilor Rizzo with respect to the deliberation. So I would just ask on behalf of the calls that we got from some of those people on the adjacent streets that they're not forgotten with respect to the ordinance. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Markakis. So, again, I appreciate everyone's input, and this is not going to be decided in one day. This isn't going to. It is not going to be decided overnight. Obviously, this has been a conversation that's been ongoing with me and this council for the last 3 years. We've actually had numerous community meetings where I know a number of the people here tonight were in attendance of. No one in the council wants to jam this through. No one in the traffic commission wants to jam this through. We want to get as much community input as possible and probably set some sort of a baseline target. And then, again, if we have to make adjustments after that, we would. But a majority of this is going to be overnight parking, and it would be done, you know, as delicately as possible. But we want to resolve some of the issues that are faced throughout the community. So this will go in front of the, Mr. Argenzio?
Only take 1 second. We have a meeting scheduled for the 28th of February. I know there was a desire to get this out there as fast as humanly possible. This will have to be advertised for 2 weeks. We're kind of close. If it's the council wish, we could push off the Traffic Commission meeting a couple of weeks, allow some advertising. We could move the Traffic Commission meeting to the nighttime, so more people would be able to come up and talk. I think from what we're hearing tonight, we need a public hearing just to see what everyone has to say. Not that we'll act on it that night, but just see what the public has to say. And if we're going to advertise this as it's written, and then we'll make the tweaks at the Traffic Commission, I think. That's wise.
I think that's very amendable, and I think that looking over Councilor Janino and Councilor McKenna, we would all agree that, you know, pushing it back a few weeks, giving everyone a little bit more ample time to discuss and continue to look at what the community input is, but advertise it a little bit longer would be nice. So, you know, we don't have to put the date out today, but if we put it to 2 weeks into March, that would be helpful.
Right. I know there's a desire to get the thing rolling.
Great.
And so we will, so we won't delay it.
I think that we'd be okay, we'd definitely be okay with that, and I'd be happy to do that.
Thank
So
you.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this in front of the Traffic Commission at the, not the 28th meeting, but the meeting following that, to give everyone a little bit more time to discuss and deliberate. And again, the date isn't gonna be just advertised today, but we'll have it out there. And,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
and I think the key is outreach on this. We want to let every resident know there's going to be this public hearing about this very important subject. So let's not have this just the people that are affected immediately, but let's get everybody to know this is going to happen across the city, and if they have some input, we need their input. Thank you.
thank you, Counselor. So the date will be well advertised, and just like you heard about today, you'll hear about it be well advertised, and we'll go from there. Thank you, and thank you, Counselor Rizzo, for allowing me some of your time tonight. Meeting adjourned.
I'd like to call this subcommittee meeting of Ways and Means to order. If you could, Madam Clerk, please call the roll of the Ways and Means Committee members.
Roll call of the members of the Ways and Means Subcommittee. Councilor Janino? Here. Councilor Morabito? Here. Councilor Patch? Here. Councilor Zambudo?
Here.
Here. And Chairman Rizzo?
Here.
Here. A quorum is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This is a communication from the mayor regarding Citizens Energy Corporation contracts. There has been an amendment, and rather than me speak on it right now, I'd like to welcome any representatives that are here from Citizens Energy that would like to explain what the communication is about, and anyone else who'd like to inform the City Council as to what they're voting on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to get right past my introduction because I don't really think it serves any purpose. It's best to introduce the representatives of Citizens Energy. Emily Byrne and Brian O'Connor are here. They should be able to answer pretty much every question you have. This is a program that already exists under a different contract within the city. And rather than have me go into it and perhaps misstate it, I'll have them come up and be accurate.
Thank you very much, Bob. Brian? Yes. Name and address for the record, please.
Brian O'Connor, Citizens Energy, Boston, Massachusetts. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the committee, many thanks for the opportunity to come here and discuss this contract. 40 years ago, someone then called Young Joe Kennedy, no longer I think, started Citizens Energy in the midst of oil price shocks to help people struggling with the cost of staying warm. Since that time, we've helped thousands of Revere residents with free or discount heating oil, with natural gas subsidies, with low-cost prescription drugs. In the last 10 years, Citizens has moved away from fossil fuels and into renewables. Thanks to the leadership of Governor Baker and your own Speaker DeLeo, they've shown incredible leadership trying to accomplish three things: move to renewables to help the climate, provide incentives to lower electricity costs for individuals and communities like Revere, and put together a structure that allows savings to low-income residents. That's what we're devoted to doing. It's in our DNA as a company, and it's what we want to do with Revere, continuing in our contracts with a new twist that will make a landmark agreement to provide discount electricity through this contract, as a result of this contract, to needy families in Revere. I want to turn the microphone over to my colleague who can discuss more specifics, Emily Byrne. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brian. Emily, name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Emily Byrne, Citizens Energy, Boston, Massachusetts. Thank you all for your time tonight. I want to cover two topics tonight. I think you all may have received a packet earlier, and hopefully this will sort of align with that. The first topic is the bill credit sales agreement, which would save the city of Revere energy savings throughout a 20-year contract. The second topic is Citizens Low-Income Community Shared Solar Program. Citizens and the city of Revere have been working together for a couple of years already under an existing solar power purchase agreement with Citizens Solar Project in Amesbury, Mass. Through our agreement, the city has seen significant savings to date already. The city has seen over $400,000 saved through this contract, and at that rate, over the 20-year term, it's set to save over $4 million. Revere's been a great partner, and Citizens is building new solar projects under a new solar incentive program. We are excited to be here tonight to present an opportunity to partner on two additional solar projects. One is located in Ayer, Massachusetts. The other is located in Bridgewater. The terms and conditions of those contracts are very similar, if not identical, except under a new program, state program, to the existing contract, meaning it is a 20-year term. It is a 17% fixed discount with no floor. And there are really no risks to the city, as the city will only pay for the energy credits that are received. These agreements will save the city over $22,000 a year, and at that rate, over the 20-year term, that's going to be over $500,000. And these two contracts before you, Ayer and Bridgewater, they're per project contract, will be in addition to the existing Amesbury, your existing Hunt Road solar contract. That's topic one. I'll shift over to explain a little bit about Citizens Low-Income Community Shared Solar. Citizens is building the majority of our new solar projects as low-income community shared solar projects, and we plan to make sure a proportion of that benefit stays here with low-income residents in Revere. Under the state's new solar program, there's a low-income participant carve-out, and given Citizens' mission to provide energy assistance to low-income families, we're able to really model our new solar projects in this low-income program. At this time, we are the only developer in the state, solar developer in the state, that is pursuing the low-income model in National Grid territory, utility territory, which is where we're located here. And across the state, throughout all of the territories, Citizens projects make up 73% of all of the low-income programs that have applied to date. So we're really excited to be leading the way there. Basically, 150 eligible low-income residents here in Revere will be able to save $150 on their annual energy bills. This low-income program will be administered entirely by citizens. The city will not need to be doing anything. Simply by engaging and signing the contracts before you tonight, you're enabling citizens to pursue development of our projects in this low-income model and provide benefits to just not only residents here in Revere, but low-income residents across the state. So I'll stop there, and I'm happy to field any questions.
Thank you very much, Emily. I appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak before I open it up to the members of the council? Any other speakers? Okay. Councilors, members of the committee, anybody wishing to be heard? Members of the committee? Okay, other councilors? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is that $150 yearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, annually, yeah.
Annual, thank you.
I didn't see you. Is that it, Councilor McKenna? Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just a little concerned about a 20-year contract. Is that, that's like the real good baseball player that gets like an 8-year contract and he lasts 2 years. I mean, what's the purpose of having such a long contract? It's for such little input to the city.
Hi, Paul Capizzi, City Solicitor. I reviewed the contract. It's exempt from 30B, so it's quite appropriate to actually have contracts of this nature to enter in for long-term, which is what we did with the previous one. We want to get the most gains that we possibly can out of this. If you did it short-term, you'd be constantly going back to the table. This makes it much easier for the city to deal with in terms of its utility bills and to, project its financing in the future for utility costs. So it's common practice to do long-term contracts of this nature.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Any other members of the committee, Councilor Janino, Morabito, or Zambudo, wishing to be heard? Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I guess I haven't been paying enough attention. Can you get up, Paul, and tell me what we're going to save on this contract over the...
If you don't mind, I could explain it
Yeah,
again.
go right ahead.
Sure. In year one, in fact, the packet of the last page that I had, that I believe was provided shows you a year-over-year savings. Okay. And so in year one, it's anticipated that the city will save approximately $22,000 on both of the contracts, both the air and the Bridgewater contract. And so if you run that out over 20 years, you're looking at over $500,000 in savings for those two contracts.
Now, is that a guaranteed savings, or?
It's not guaranteed,
Okay.
but it's pretty much guaranteed because you're only going to be paying for the credits you receive. So
Okay.
there's no
Yeah.
downside risk to that.
It's an estimate of what we'll
Exactly, it's
save.
production estimate, based on a lot of production estimates as well.
Okay. How do we know what a competitive company would be offering us?
This is very competitive in terms of the discount rate. In fact, the
Well, I'm sure you're going to say that, and I
programs-
appreciate you, you work for Citizens Energy, and you're telling me it's very competitive, but I have no real way of knowing that, unless somebody put one in front of me. I guess my question would be to the city fathers here, have we done our due diligence with other competitors? That's a tough
To
question.
the best of our knowledge, we have. I mean, John may want to speak more about this if he has anything to say, but no one else has approached us. No one else has offered this kind of a savings or this kind of a program to us. And Citizens Energy is known for taking the lead on this kind of stuff. And we've already had a working relationship with them, so we felt comfortable in bringing them back on again.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say you did something wrong. I'm just looking at other options here, as I always do, and I'm always skeptical of everything we do up here because we spend taxpayers' money, and we may be saving the taxpayers' money here, but I need to know
No, I appreciate your skepticism.
as
You
much
should be asking these
information
questions.
as
That's why
I
we're here
can.
tonight.
Yeah,
And
great,
John may-
great, thank you. John?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Ways and Means Committee, that's a very good question. On the first contract that we signed, we'd had numerous companies come in, and we compared the different companies. On this one here, this is a new, an adjustment to the first program that we have, and really no one has really come forward on this type of program, on the SMART program, where you have the combination of, on the first one, it was transferring kilowatts. This is monetary credits with National Grid, so there's a little bit of a difference. And also with that, this program is a little bit different because of the element of the low-income savings to residents of the city of Revere. This is a fairly new program. A lot of companies don't even do it. Whereas on the first contract, we have probably researched 3 to 4 different companies. So there's no other company that really has come forward. This is an additional savings that we could have on some of our accounts. There is really risk-free and the additional benefit of helping low-income citizens in the city of Revere on their electricity bills, as long as they're eligible, which is also handled by citizens. So they're going to be handling the whole program in itself, which makes it nice and easy for the city. So it's kind of like a win-win situation, but it's a very good question, but I think no other company has really come forward on this. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Zambudo. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. I guess the question that I would ask, relevant to Councilor Zambudo's question, was, what would be your nearest competitor? Who would be your competitor in this field? No, for you. Not for National Grid, but for your company, because you're offering a green credit based upon your...
So there are various solar developers throughout the state. The low-income program is something very unique to what Citizens is offering. So we currently don't have...
Is there another company that does energy banking like you within the region?
Selling power purchase agreements?
Underneath solar?
Yes.
Who?
Various solar developers across the state will do that under the STRAC program.
And who would they be?
Off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I'm not. There's probably Dynamic Energy. There's sorry.
So that would be
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, please, may I speak?
Point of
Do
order.
you have a point of information? Because he has the floor.
Okay.
Okay.
So that would be that would be the person who would be offering that type of service if they chose to do so, but they don't. Only your company does, and you know, by the good graces of Citizens Energy, that's what we're dealing with. Correct?
Correct. Given we are the only ones offering the low-income model of the program, where
Excellent.
there's this power purchase sale associated with it.
My concern is, does that actual provide of assistance, does that stop any of our citizens from getting any other sources of assistance? Say, for example, does that then rule them out of getting something from, like from CAPIC for their fuel assistance? That's one of my questions that I'm concerned about. Does that preclude them from their criteria, which is something we have to ask Bob Rapucci, because I don't think there's something here that you would know.
In fact, the way I understand the way this is going to work, we're going to actually select through CAPIC those eligible for the
Perfect. So
credit.
then that really helps eliminate
So
that issue.
they're tied into this. She didn't say that earlier, and I'll mention it now. We're up there. We're not going to just randomly select people that are eligible. We're going to go through CAPIC, who has the most familiarity with those in need in the community.
Right. Also, they're the actual body that can do it legally, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. That's correct.
All right, so that's perfect. I'm for all this 100%. You answered my question. I know it might have seemed a little confusing at first, or like
sorry.
it might have seemed like a little bit antagonistic, but it was just to kind of find out exactly where we were standing and how this all played out. In the end, it's about protecting our citizens, you know, and Joe does a great job at helping the citizens, and I just didn't want to make sure there was nothing untoward that might have been unforeseen by mistake. Thank you kindly, and thank you for your patience.
And just to add to that, the program's designed for low-income ratepayers. The state's been very involved in all of this to date. So the selection of eligible ratepayers is going to be very specific as well. People will need to be on an R2 rate class in order to be eligible for the program.
Perfect.
So it's definitely been something that's been vetted through various state programs.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor. I know Councilor Powers wants to speak, but before that, did you have something real quick, Councilor Zambudo, or is this going to?
I just wanted to say, I hope I'm not conflicted since I'm a 20-year board member of CAPIC.
Okay, well,
No,
I wouldn't think so, Councilor. You're saving money for people here tonight.
I'm kidding,
But I'll send
but once they throw CAPIC in, then I have to be for it, so.
Okay, Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Young lady, excuse me. Did I hear you correctly? There are going to be 150 families in the city that will receive an allowance of $150 each for the calendar year. And that'll be, the criteria will be determined by CAPIC.
Yep.
Now,
Yes.
does this interfere with anything that a family might already be getting?
This eligibility is based on their account status with the utility. So on National Grid, they will need to just be an R2 resident, and this will be, that's the eligibility criteria, that then they will be able to receive discounted credits that should appear right on their bill every month. So to my knowledge, that's not going to affect any other.
So the credit shows up on their bill, the individual bill?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Just one more comment from Councilor Rotundo, and then we're going to try to wrap this up and take a vote. Councilor Rotundo.
Sure, and people correct me if I'm wrong, but this is going to really help out those people that cannot generally get assistance from CAPIC because it's fuel assistance based upon natural gas and oil. We have many people that rely on electricity for heat, and this is a very, very beneficial program. This is going to benefit those people that cannot normally get taken care of through the RAP program or other programs because there is no other group that provides heating assistance to those that use electrical energy. Thank you so very, very, very much. This is not only unique, but it is wonderful in that it's going to provide that service to our people in need. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor. So I'm just going to close it out before a vote, saying that I've had the chance to work with Brian and Emily signing that first contract, which has been a tremendous success so far. That was that first solar plant up in Amesbury, I believe. And we did, to John Fester's point, we did talk with several different companies back at that time. We're going back, I think, like 4 years, maybe, like maybe longer. Okay, so, but as you alluded to, Brian, you know, the city has saved, or Emily, one of you said, you know, we've already saved $400,000 so far. And then the life of the contract, and I think to Councilor Patch's point about signing on to a long-term contract, and it can be a little bit unnerving when you think, I'm going to sign a 20-year contract here, but when it's a 20-year contract about savings, like at the end of this 20-year contract, we will have saved $4 million, at least estimated to be $4 million, and now additional money to even, families that are now very much in need, 150 Revere families. So this is all good, and I think it's been a pleasure working with Citizens Energy. And obviously, I plan on supporting the agreement. So with that, if you could call the roll, Madam Clerk, and we'll report this out tonight based on the vote.
Sure. On the Citizens Energy Corporation contracts, Councilor Janino? Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes, the contracts will be forwarded to the full City Council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the councilor's involvement here tonight. That will end this meeting of the Ways and Means Subcommittee. I want to thank everybody for their participation and attendance. Thank you.
Welcome to the February 11th, 2019 City Council meeting. Will those in attendance please join the City Council in the salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Janino.
Here.
Here. Councilor Keefe.
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Morbido.
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky. Here. Councilor Patch.
Here.
Here. Councilor Powers. Here. Councilor Rizzo. Here. Councilor Rotundo. Here. Councilor Zambudo.
Here.
Here. And Council President Guanasso.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Calendar item number 2, approval of the journal of the regular meeting of January 28th, 2019.
So ordered.
Calendar item number 3, the City Council will enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing litigation strategy concerning Stivell versus City of Revere to operate an auto body shop at 855 Broadway.
The City Council will enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing litigation strategy concerning Stifel versus City of Revere to operate an auto body shop at 855 Broadway. The City Council will reconvene in open session after the conclusion of the executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion?
Favor, all opposed? Roll call has been ordered.
Councilor Janino? Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers? Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo? Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes, the City Council will now enter into executive session.
All those members of the City Council, please leave the chamber until the session is over. Motion to return to the regular order of business. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered. Next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Counter item number 4, hearing called is ordered on a loan order request in the amount of $3.8 million for water main improvements.
Proponents, any proponents, anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Nick Rystrom, City Engineer, 281 Broadway. I wanted to speak as a proponent on this order. This loan will be for much-needed water improvements in various locations throughout the city, most notably some of the streets off of Park Ave that coincidentally planning to be paved as well, some work on North Shore Road, as well as Shirley Avenue, which also coincidentally is slated for some streetscape upgrades, and then also some other sort of miscellaneous improvements, which includes various locations for hydrants and inline gate valves within the system. And so these are pipes that are aging, and in some cases installed close to 100 years ago, and ones that we also have had problems with in the recent past. And so we're looking to try to replace those pipes and increase the quality of the infrastructure in the city in general.
Any other members of the audience wishing to speak as a proponent in favor of this proposal? Seeing and hearing none, are there any opponents? Anyone in opposition in the audience? Oh, seeing and hearing none, any councilors wishing to speak? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nick, can I ask you a question? Any work being done in Beachmont? We have like a number of streets, Pearl Ave, you know, all those flooded streets that are...
So one that comes to mind just offhand is Washington Square. We had some issues there with some breaks recently where the condition of the pipe was determined after the break happened, and we could actually physically see. So that's one that hopefully we'll be able to include. It depends a little bit on how bids come in and how far we can push the improvements. But there will also be, like I said earlier, there's miscellaneous locations with hydrants and gate valves, and so there likely will be some of those in that area as well.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nick, there's a list of streets here that 2019 water main improvement project. These are the streets that this money is going to?
Yes.
Well, what'd you forget about, Ward 6?
No, so they're not, it's based on the known issues that we've had recently with significant breaks and multiple breaks, and also there's coincidental repaving and streetscapes and that sort of thing. So we didn't leave anything out deliberately. These are some of the streets that have been indicated to me through the Water and Sewer Department that are in need of some attention.
Well, I got streets that don't have any drainage at all. I mean...
So just to clarify, this is water work, so it wouldn't be, we wouldn't be able to do drainage work with this loan.
Well, I'm sure there's problems with streets in Ward 6 with that. I know up in North Revere there was water breaks. There was there's water breaks on Squire Road. I could go back and get some more for you, but I mean,
Oh, so
I
there
mean,
is.
this is just thrown at us, and, you know, I look at it, and he took good care of the Ward 4 councilor, good care of the Ward 2 councilor, and that's it.
So I apologize if it looks that way. It wasn't specifically pointing out, you know, certain wards. Believe it or not, there is infrastructure, water infrastructure throughout the city.
Right.
That needs attention. Unfortunately, it can only, you know, get to so many at a time. So we try to prioritize the ones that
Why don't you
have
spread the
recent
wealth,
issues.
though? Why don't you spread it?
I didn't think about it that way.
I know you didn't.
Yeah, and so I apologize. It was not intentional.
I bet. All right, I'm done.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just two questions. Mr. Rystrom?
Counselor?
This has nothing to do with the $3 million we're going to be spending down in the Oak Island area to jack under the tracks and satisfy the
He's had an
Riverside
insult to
section?
injury now.
That's correct.
That's a separate, okay.
Correct.
What area in Ward 5, or what, we're on North Shore Road, and I can define what ward it's in. Where are we spending this money on North Shore Road?
So some of this is slated for North Shore Road between Revere Street and Shawmut Street. There's a very old, outdated line there that we've had breaks in the past. It's difficult to address those. It's also undersized. We have new infrastructure nearby that, you know, is taking a lot of the pressure there, but we still have issues in North Shore Road. And it's something that has also kind of been on the list for.
So this is, you're talking about Shawmut Street, the lower end of Revere Street, right?
Revere Street to Shawmut.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nick, this morning we had another one on the Revere Beach Parkway. What's the look-see for having that stretch done from Woods Ave down to?
So that's part
down
of the
to Winthrop
next,
Ave?
that's in the next round, if you will.
Will that happen this year?
Not likely.
No. Yeah, because the guys spent hours and hours and
They did,
hours
yeah.
for 5 feet.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll find that situation in the city, throughout the city, where the infrastructure is very old, it's aging, it's, you know, deteriorating, and there's any number of locations that, you know, could use attention, and a lot of it is in need of serious attention. You know, unfortunately, we only have so much that we can do at a time.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do want to speak in favor of this. Obviously, yes, I understand Ward 4 is going to represent a lot of the benefit of this, but a lot of it has to do with the priority of the need for new water pipes in those areas, but also the fact that some of these streets are going to be repaved in the next few years. So rather than repave them and then rip them up later, get them in line with the repavement of some of these streets in Ward 4. So, but I am in favor of this. Thank you.
We from Ward 3 and Ward 6 are very happy for you. Any other councilors wishing to speak? Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm definitely in support of this. I think it's important, even though it's a good chunk of money, that we address these things, because part of the reason that we're under the consent decree that we're under from the state is from decades of neglect to our infrastructure. So by being proactive and investing back into our community, this is something that affects residents directly. It affects their water pressure, it affects the reliability of water in their home, it affects their commute and their quality of life when a water main's broken and the street's flooded. So it's something that there's an immediate benefit to the resident when we fix it and we address it. We pay a lot of money for water in the city of Revere. So for the amount of money we pay, we should have the best water mains and the best services to our city. So I'm definitely in support of it, and I hope that Ward 3 and 6 get a little attention later in the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you, Mr. President. I echo the same thoughts as my colleague. I think these are necessary areas where we need to correct the situation, plus we have the funding, so let's go for it and do it.
Thank you, Councilor. One time for Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me speak again. Also, Nick, my ward, Ward 6, The last tax bills, the highest one that got hit, the hardest one that got hit was Ward 6 with increases. I mean, you can't, you're telling me now, you got this list, and then you're gonna give him $3 million. I don't get it. You know, you don't have to worry about me. I'm only gonna be around till January. So why don't you do something for the next Ward 6 councilor? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Now, the request comes before us as a roll call. And shall the City Council approve a loan order in the amount of $3,800,000 for the water main improvements? On the roll call.
On the loan order, Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Patch?
No.
No, Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Rotundo? No. No. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes, the loan order has been approved.
The next is a roll call on the vote of a resolution. Shall the City Council approve the resolution relative to the $3.8 million water main improvement loan order?
On the resolution, Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Patch?
No.
No, Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Rotundo? Yes, Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes, the
Mr.
resolution
President,
has been
suspension of
approved.
rules.
Councilor Novoselsky, suspension of rules.
Reconsideration, hope it will not prevail.
On reconsideration in the hopes it does not prevail.
Council President,
Councilor Rotundo.
as we are under suspension of rules, I was wondering if we could take up,
Suspend rules for calendar item number 8. That was my next order of business. Thank you, Councilor.
you're a beautiful guy.
Madam Clerk, calendar item number 8, we're under suspension of rules.
Did we vote on reading?
Calendar item number 5 is the Legislative
No,
Affairs
Councilor,
Subcommittee.
Calendar number 8. Okay.
Calendar item number 8 is a communication from the mayor requesting the city council to vote on the attached statement of interest form to authorize the superintendent to submit a grant application to the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Superintendent Kelly informed the mayor last week that the application window just opened for the MSBA and applications are due on February 15th. A vote will be required tonight in order to move forward with the application. Hopefully, the MSBA will approve the application so that the students and faculty can have a new roof and new windows. And this, by the way, is for the Lincoln School. There are 2 votes required, both by roll call. I will read them as we proceed. Superintendent Kelly.
Don't do this, because we're missing service fees, this is bullshit.
That's different.
Thank you very much. So I know that people are probably thinking that the main reason we're working with MSBA is for the new high school, which we were recently brought into the core program on, thankfully. We'll be officially starting that program in June. We anticipate it's going to be a 6 to 8 year process of building the new high school, and in the meantime, the 2 buildings that really need some attention from us are the Lincoln School and the Beachmont School. Thanks to the kindness and the forward thinking of this body and the past legislators in the city of Revere, we've been able to build our 5 new buildings, which have taken care of our other elementary and middle schools. Doing this work at the Lincoln School and then some work at the Beachmont School in conjunction with the new high school is really going to give us a complete K-12 state-of-the-art system for all of the children of Revere. I was able to meet with our facilities department and the mayor's office and Mr. Viscay's office to put together a multi-year plan on how we can implement some work that needs to be done, as this application is around the roof and windows at the Lincoln School, and then the Beachmont School also needs some attention to its windows. It needs new windows. They're not functioning properly, and they actually need a new boiler system at the Beachmont. However, the more important or the more time-sensitive work is the work that needs to happen at the Lincoln, because the roof has been found in 2017 to be rather porous. And that roof is only 40 years old, but we believe that there may have been some damage with the tornado that we didn't recognize as tornado damage at the time. And we think that has exacerbated the aging of that roof system. At the same time, the windows certainly need to be replaced. They're original to the building. They're single pane glass, so they're not at all energy efficient. And as the city works on a separate plan to introduce air conditioning in that building, it would not behoove us to do so without new windows. So we are hoping this week to submit the application to the MSBA for a new roof and windows. What you're voting tonight is just to give me permission to submit that application. It in no way commits the city to any money or to doing the project. We don't have a cost estimate right now. I can tell you that the Garfield roof, which we just recently replaced, cost about $8 million, of which the city paid 20%. So we paid only about $1.2 million for that. And that's a much larger roof than what we're looking at the Lincoln. So mathematically, we would think that this project, with the windows included, might come in at roughly that same price point, but we won't know until the MSBA first invites us into the accelerated repair program, which isn't guaranteed. And then second, they do a design study to tell us exactly what needs to be done and what it's going to cost. But at this point here, I'm just asking your permission to submit the statement of interest with no financial attachment to it.
Thank you, Superintendent Kelly. I think that's self-sufficient. I think we should go forward with this, and I ask that we take two roll calls on this. I'll read both into the record language for the votes and attach to the communication. Madam Clerk?
On the first vote is for the Lincoln School roof. Resolved, having convened in an open meeting on February 11, 2019, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the Revere City Council, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the MSBA the statement of interest form dated February 15, 2019, for the Lincoln School located at 68 Tuckerman Street, Revere, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies in the priority categories. Number 5, replacement, renovation, or modernization of school facility systems such as roofs, windows, boilers, heating, and ventilation systems to increase energy conservation and decrease energy-related costs in a school facility, specifically a new roof, for which an application may be submitted to the MSBA in the future, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the MSBA in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the MSBA, or commits the City, Town, Regional School District to filing an application for funding with the MSBA. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo? Yes. Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes, the statement of interest has been approved for the Lincoln roof. Vote 2 is for the Lincoln School windows. Resolved, having convened an open meeting on February 11, 2019, prior to the SOI submission closing date, the Revere City Council, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the MSBA the statement of interest form dated February 15, 2019, for the Lincoln School located at 68 Tuckerman Street, Revere, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies in the priority categories. Number 5, replacement, renovation, or modernization of school facility systems such as roofs, windows, boilers, heating, and ventilation systems to increase energy conservation and decrease energy-related costs in a school facility, specifically new windows, for which an application may be submitted to the MSBA in the future, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the MSBA in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the MSBA, or commits the City, Town, Regional School District to filing an application for funding with the MSBA. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Powers.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Rotundo.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes, and Council President Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes, the statement of interest for the Lincoln School windows has been approved.
Refer back to the regular order of business, item number 5, and prior to that, I recognize Vice President Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to offer our sincere condolences to the Ambrosino family for their loss this past week. If anyone didn't know, Margaret Ambrosino passed away last week, and mother of the former mayor, Thomas Ambrosino. So if we can offer a moment of silence, that'd be great.
Please rise for a moment of silence. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Calendar item number 5 is the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee report.
Councilor Keefe will offer his report referring amended citywide resident parking program to the Traffic Commission for review. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier today, we discussed for some time in regards to the motion presented by Councilor McKenna and Councilor Janino on the citywide permit parking program. There was much discussion from some vested parties as well as some residents that had interest in providing some input. With that being said, the chairman of the Traffic Commission, Mr. Genzio, came in, offered to push out the next Traffic Commission meeting to the second or around the second week of March to give more time for the city to advertise and to inform residents that there may be some changes in discussion, and this would help open up the door to more input from the community. So we did order this motion to the Traffic Commission to be further reviewed and amended, and then we can talk about an implementation, but this will be going in front of the Traffic Commission sometime in March. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Keefe. Refer to traffic.
Calendar item number 6 is the Ways and Means Subcommittee report.
Councilor Rizzo will offer his report. Request 2 roll call votes are required, 2 different contracts. Shall the City Council approve the solar alternative on-bill credit agreement between the City of Revere and Air East Solar LLC? And the second being, shall the City Council approve the solar alternative on-bill credit agreement between the City of Revere and Bridgewater Landfill Solar LLC? Councilor Rizzo.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This really is just an amendment of a contract the city already has with Citizens Energy. The original agreement was signed back, I think, in 2014, I believe. So far, it's worked out very good for the city. We've saved about $400,000 so far. The estimated savings to the community at the conclusion of the contract is estimated to be about $4 million. So, you know, buying these energy credits has definitely worked out for the city, and I think this extension is going to help 150 families save up to $150 in energy costs. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and you know, in fact, I just wish we could have done more for more people. So the committee, in its wisdom, voted unanimously to support both of these agreements, and I would ask that the council as a whole vote in favor as well. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairman Rizzo. Madam Clerk.
For the first contract, this is for the on-bill credit agreement with Air East Solar LLC. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo. Yes. Councilor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes, that contract has been approved. On the second contract for on-bill credit agreement with Bridgewater Landfill Solar LLC. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo. Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Quinasso?
Yes.
Yes, that contract has been approved. Calendar item number 7, communication from the mayor relative to the Unit A Memorandum of Agreement.
In accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 150E, Section 7, shall the City Council approve the appropriation necessary to fund the Unit A Memorandum of Agreement covering the period of fiscal years 2019 to 2021. Roll call is in order.
On the motion, Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch? Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo? Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Quinasso?
Yes.
Yes, the Unit A memorandum, the funding for the Unit A Memorandum of Agreement has been approved.
Calendar item number 9.
Number 9, on to motions.
Mr. President,
Councilor Morbido.
can I ask that agenda item number 9 and 10 to keep on file until there's more progress on these short-term rentals?
On the request of the maker of the motions 9 and 10, items number 19-030 and item number 19-031 be held.
Mr. President?
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. Just to address an issue, I know this is on file, but to put in the mind of Councilor Morbido, the issue regarding 30% of revenue of any short-term local tax towards affordable housing assistance, subject to the council, where would this money be, just for purposes of conversation, who would be, I guess, assisting with the affordable housing? The city of Revere, some nonprofit group? And how would that be generated out of the system?
Councilor, for all due respect, Kesey, the councilor and maker of the motions asked that these be held for further review. So at that particular case, he's going to go into get these details that you might be asking about. And there's actually no debate on it when he's asked them that they be held.
I'm not asking for a debate, I'm just asking a quick question so that perhaps I can help him.
Well, you can help him if he so desires, I think that, but I think that the order of business
Thank
here
you,
is
Mr. President.
that we
Thank
hold
you.
the two.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Is
Thank
that
you.
the wish of the council, the maker of the motion, that you hold these? You want some help? So moved.
Calendar item number 11, motion presented by Councilor Guanasso, that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to roll back the hours of operation of parking meter enforcement on Broadway and Shirley Avenue to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and eliminate parking enforcement on Saturday.
This request, Madam Clerk and members of the council, and I'm sure some of the councils in attendance here are weighing the same problem, on Shirley Avenue and on Broadway. Many of the local restaurants and businesses are feeling the pinch of this particular thing. And one individual, a couple of individuals, every time I go out to dinner, remind me of it. I'm only asking that the Traffic Commission review this. I don't want to uproot anything that's been done. I think that what the Traffic Commission has done and what the City of Revere has done in putting these new meters in place and putting the rules of order in place. But I'm just looking for a little easement on these particular things, because there aren't very many restaurants in the city that are operating in the profit as it is, and to put any hardship on them. And more importantly, it's not just for the restaurant owners, it's for the people who visit those and frequent them. And it's quite a nuisance, to be honest with you, when you have to go out and keep feeding the meter. It becomes really an uncomfortable event when something that's supposed to be a nice experience turns into an ugly experience, because you're finding yourself frequently, and I know because I've done it, and it's really not fair. I think that up to 5 o'clock is fine, but again, that's the review of the Traffic Commission and the judgment that they wish, and if the vote of this council is to send it to that direction, I appreciate it. On the motion, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 12, motion presented by Councilor Keefe, that the mayor request the Department of Public Works and MassDOT to coordinate the repainting and the repair of the Route 1 overpasses at Mountain Avenue and Park Avenue. Both overpasses are in need of maintenance.
Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to bring this up. Both of these are entryways into our city from, obviously from Everett, for the most part, but they could use a fresh coat of paint. I'm not suggesting that there has to be this major overhaul on these overpasses, but they definitely could use a little scraping and fresh coat of paint. Appreciate some help with the the city, but also getting in touch with the DOT. Thank you. Bye.
All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 13, motion presented by Councilor Guanasso that the following ordinance be ordered to a public hearing. An ordinance relative to certain persons not represented under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 150E, Section 10.
Referred to public hearing on February 25th.
Calendar item number 14, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the following amendment to an ordinance relative to snow and ice removal on sidewalks be ordered to a public hearing. Enforcement and exemptions is hereby amended by inserting the words "an owner occupied" before the word "residential."
Referred to public hearing on February 25th.
Calendar item number 15, motion presented by Councilor McKenna that the City Council present a certificate of commendation to Speaker Robert A. DeLeo for serving the residents of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as Speaker of the House for 10 years.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to amend this certificate to say motion presented by the Revere City Council and not myself.
Good thoughts. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
One late drain layer.
One late appointment chairperson, Jessica Janino. One late on a licensed drain layer.
Go to appointments?
Appointments. This particular matter, Madam Chairperson, is that we need to vote on it this evening based on the fact that this person's doing business in the city already, and it's through a lapse of sending the proper communication from within this building up here, and this person has to continue on with a legal source. So I ask you the indulgence that you take this out this evening, if you would.
Understood. Is the applicant present?
Please come to the podium, state your name and address, and the chairperson can take over from here. Madam Chairperson.
Yeah, Wayne Pettit from Franklin, Mass.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is a reappointment, not a new appointment?
New appointment.
Is it, oh,
I mean, we were trying to obtain a sewer license.
gotcha. So if it's a
Drainage.
new appointment, how are they already operating?
I mean, not new. We're applying for one.
So, Madam
We're not
Clerk, is
doing
this a
any
new
work.
appointment or a reappointment? Mr. President?
Answer the chair.
We're just applying for an application to get a license to install sewer and water. We haven't done any work yet.
Okay, have you worked for the city of Revere before?
No.
No, okay,
Yep.
that clarifies that. Do any other councilors have any questions that are on the committee?
I suggest that we keep this, Chairperson, Madam Chairperson, I believe we should make this go to committee. Because it's not
All
a
due respect,
reappointment. I have not seen any information on the appointment.
There was a request
Oh,
for the
through the, Mr. President, to Councilor Morbido, I'm the chair, and I'm hearing about it at 6 o'clock this evening, so you're not alone. But mistakes happen, so we need to deal with it, so we totally understand that, and we don't want to hold someone up from working if all the paperwork is in order and things are moving as they should. So do any other councilors have any questions of the applicant?
Just a point of information to Councilor Morbido. This was asked that we do this because they are currently involved in a situation.
We're doing a project at St. Jean's Bank.
Last
They're
call.
already doing it, Steve.
So can we just get
At the wish of the chairwoman, obviously.
a show of hands from the committee members on all in favor, all opposed?
Is this committee?
On the motion of the chairperson, all in favor? All opposed?
I recuse myself on this, please.
Please note that Councilor Novoselsky's has been recused because it's St. Jean's property. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Thank you. Thank you. The clerk will reach out to you to get the paperwork.
Okay, thank you.
The Revere City Council will be in adjournment until February 25th, 2019. Thank you for your attendance.